Hey everybody, back at you here. It's been a while since I've been able to put anything up, but been planting a church and doing some stuff. What I want to try to do right now is I want to answer some questions that you guys have emailed in, and try to be as practically helpful as I can here, real quick. Um, One guy sent in about flexibility exercises, like finger strengthening exercises. You can buy those little exerciser things with the springs in them. You can do some different things. But I had a friend, he showed me some basics years ago. They seem to help a lot, so I'll show you that real quick. Um, you want to work on alternate picking, which means instead of just going down, you want to be going down, and then the next stroke is up. Because as you'll find is as you develop that as a habit, it helps you with a lot of riffs later as you get into more advanced stuff. So, do an alternate picking, one finger for each fret. Pick any position you want. I'll come up here so you can see it easier. You're going to just go down. Then the next one is up, down, up. Then go to the next string. And then you always want to go backwards. I used to do more of it when I was younger, so I was better at it. Once you you want to start working on finger individuality, where they don't try to move together like your pinky and your ring finger always try to move together. So you can do that by breaking up the exercise, alternating 1 and 3 going down, and then going back up 4, 2. Then change it up. Go down 1, 4, and go back 3, 2. Go down 1, 2. Stuff like that will kind of help. The other thing you can do is hammer on pull off exercises where you're just pick a note, hammer it, right? Hammer on. It might seem real simple, but it actually does a lot to work up on your strength. Then you could increase your stretch. And then if you want to do some more, because the two fingers that are the worst, your ring finger and your pinky are always trying to go together on everything. So you can play around with stuff that stretches those out, which is just alternating there. So you do those kind of things, and it's just building up your flexibility. Those kind of exercises come in later when guys build lead riffs, actually, and it's just about being creative about how you hook it together. One guy just wanted a couple of easy to work on riffs for lead runs. So I'll show you one of this is a classic building block riff, and show you what you can do with it. It only involves your first and third. And what you're going to have is basically to play the note, hammer first and third, and then the string above, play the note that falls under your third finger. So the three notes are, right, so if we started at the 12th fret with the third, 10th fret first, 12th fret third. Those are the three notes. So you're going to play the 10th, hammer to the 12th and pull, and then the string above, play the 12th. Okay, now it doesn't sound like much till you speed it up. Okay, now what you find is in a lot of the really fast sounding runs that a lot of the guys do, that is a building block that they basically are just climbing or descending with. And so it ends up making up things like this. Okay, that's that same riff climbing up. Okay, now it'll take you a little while to work on that to get up to speed. Some of you might are probably already faster than I am. Like I say, I haven't really worked hard on real aggressive lead playing in quite a while. But anyways, that's a riff that you can move around and go up or down. So when you're climbing with it, what you're going to do is hammer down. Does that make sense to everybody? You hammer going down, you pull usually when you're trying to go back up. And so, right? And that's just that one little riff. And as they move it, it really starts to sound like something. Guys in the 80s used to really impress everybody running scale. So one thing you can do, an easy way to run a major scale in a way that's fast and sounds good, but it isn't incredibly hard because it doesn't involve a lot of your picking hand, is to use hammers and slides to get all the notes in. So that if you were doing D major, your D major scale goes. Okay? And we covered some of those scale shapes in another video. But what you can do if you're hammering and pulling and your fingers are getting stronger, hammer, pick the first note on a string, hammer the second one. Right? Now on these, or you can slide. And that enables you to pick up a lot more speed so that it ends up. Okay. So that's what you end up with. Hammer, hammer, twice, hammer, slide, hammer, slide. Then all I did was the bottom two of the scale. This is also in that scale. Well, then you can do a straight pull-off run, which is where you pick the highest note and pull it. So it goes like this, all together. Now, one guy noticed that I do that, so that's a good time to point that out, that when I'll finish a run, you see me put my index finger up over when I do a hold. And usually all that's for is to get rid of the noise. With distorted guitar, typically when you run around on the fretboard, you wind up with some noise left over. But when you hold that last note, you don't want all this racket. So you can put your finger over when you're done, deaden those other strings out, and have that hold sound clean. Now, one note here was about bending. which I just did some of that. Here's the thing that you got to watch for, and it's a real common beginner mistake in leads. You have to bend to a note that's also in that key. So if you're doing E minor pentatonic, a little vibrato doesn't matter. But if I want to bend, I have to get up to a note that's also in the key. See how that's the point of bending. So if I bend to a note that's not in the key, so you have to just kind of listen for it. One of the easiest ways to get around it, if you're wanting to do a bend in a lead run and you want to make sure you wind up in the right spot, is you could actually cheat by hitting the note right before the one you want and bending to that note. And you just pinch bend. Couple different kind of vibratos. Index finger. Hear how it makes a little noise. Third finger you can deaden. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for there. One thing I showed you on one video was that you have the ditone patterns that you can work with, where since this is G and this is D, so those two together, okay? Well, if you keep that shape right there, this is G. If you go from here to here, so it looks like that. That's a C, because this is C and G. And if you slide this up, you wind up with D and A. So if you were jamming on a song that's the classic G, C, D thing, so what that ends up being real helpful for is lead riffs. If this is G and the song's in the key of G, you can stay in that one pattern and wind up with that real kind of, it's a popular double stop type sound that guys have right now. And if you listen to worship music, that basic idea was actually used to make the intro of a very popular song a few years back. Something like that. I don't remember it exactly. But it's the same basic idea. So if you're not wanting to take off on single note runs, these, and say we were doing a song that was G, D, E minor, C, which is pretty common, which gives you the D, E minor, back to C, and I'm covering up with this finger, but basically the pattern here is that this is your root note on that shape. So G, D, E minor, C, and it lets you move around. If you want to do something like that. So, about out of time, but hopefully some of that stuff helps, and I'll try to be putting up more stuff in the future. Keep jamming for Jesus.